Okay folks, here we are for another video. This time again I'm going to review two of my students' games. This is a game between Moyos Sam and Backwards Ben. These guys are actually brothers, and they've both recently started to play Go, and they're enjoying having a series of matches against each other. And this is one of those games. I got a message from Sam saying they played this game, they both had a lot of fun, but could I do a review of it and just go through the moves? And so I'm more than happy to do that for any of my students. So we're going to go through the game. I just want to go to the end of the game at the start, just so we can see how this game ended, because this is a game that's got an unusual shape to it. We look at it and we can actually say, well, what's gone on here is both players have created big territories. Neither has really tried to invade. We can see late in the game, black invades the white lower left and actually lives with two eyes in there. And actually I think that's probably the reason black won the game, and black won the game marginally, whereas white tries to invade the upper right and fails, only ends up with one eye. So that was critical. But up to that point, before those two invasions, the game was pretty close. It was marginally white. It was maybe under 5 points to white, and that includes a 5.5 point Comey. So it was very close. Both built big territories. Neither player really pushed at the other opponent's territory, because they did a lot of reinforcing, a lot of defensive moves. But it was the invasions at the end and one capture by white that sealed the fate. Capture by black that sealed white's fate and gave black the victory. So anyway, let's go back and see how this game developed. So here we are, way back at the start, and we'll take our usual format. I'll make some comments on some moves, but I'm not going to over comment. I don't want to introduce too many variations, too many variables. This is a 25 to 20 Q level game review, and at that stage of our Go careers, the last thing we need is lots of detail about different options and alternatives. So here we go. So black plays upper right 4-4. White plays lower left 4-4, 3-4 in the lower left, and another 4-4 in the upper right. So what's black going to do? Will black approach? Now black sets up the Chinese opening. So this is Sam setting this up, which it's the Chinese opening is still, I think, a great opening. It's very territory orientated, but it also can initiate and start fights. So we'll see where this goes. So white makes an extension on the top side. Again, you know, this is the opening, and these guys are exploring and experimenting how this game works, and so that's perfectly valid. Black defends the corner. If I now look at the division of points on the top side, white is holding from A to J, and black is holding from N to T. So if we look at those spacings, we can see that white's territory is much bigger on the upper side. If we give this some kind of rough count, we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points there, by at least 2, so there's 18, 20 points there for white. And on this side we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 2, 12, maybe 15 points. So that big extension translates immediately into points. So white makes a big defensive move on the left hand side. This is why this turned into a big Moyo game, as you can see. And black makes the first approach. So black approaches a knight move approach to the lower left corner. I've been teaching these guys recently that the two obvious moves to make when someone approaches your knight move approach onto the 4-4 is you either extend and make a base, or you can pincer. I think in this case Ben made a pincer. I can't say that's wrong. I really can't, because it gives white a very strong position on the left hand side. If not a little low, it's down on the third line, so the stones on C10 and C6 are third line, and generally when we're trying to build Moyos we like to be up on the fourth. But also because Ben has already played a stone on C10, the other alternative, which is the pincer here, may well have worked, because if black goes in, then white gets this kind of shape, and now black is on a very low profile, and you can see white has really expanded this moyo, and the presence of the 1 stone here, the H3 stone, really means that there aren't any points for anybody in this kind of area. That would have been another alternative at this position, and if it was me, I would have played that. I would have played that sequence rather than the sequence that Ben played in this, that white played, which is actually in the game. Making that knight move defense, purely because there's already a stone. Having played a stone in one area, you then don't want to be going back and playing another stone in that area. Anyway, let's carry on. So that's one observation. So black comes up. This is really quite a bold move by black, and it works, because black comes up and that starts to build this huge moyo on the lower side. If you're going to do this kind of play, the G5 stone, then you really want your cornerstone to be on the Q4 point. You'd like that stone to be here, because it's a little bit low to support these 2 stones, but nonetheless it's what happens. So now white attaches. I don't like the attachment here. I think the vital point for white now is either approaching this corner somewhere like here, or coming further out here and breaking up this growing black moyo, getting in there early so that black can't turn that into territory. Because now if black comes from here, white has got to slide here, and the territory's broken up, and these stones now don't have a base, and those stones there don't have a base, and they're potentially under attack. Equally, you could say that the white stones don't have a base, but they've got good access to the centre, and when you've got access to the centre, you can run, and that's fine. But that's not what happened. So I thought this was a bold move by Sam. I liked it a lot. So what did Ben do? Ben attached this. I think this is an over-concentrated stone. This is you've now played 4 stones into that corner, and that move there hasn't got you any more territory. In fact, what it's done is make your opponent stronger, because black adds another stone, and now black is pretty strong there. Those 2 stones are relatively stable. They're still vulnerable to a white stone in any of these kind of positions, breaking out behind. Sorry about the flow up of the Discord. But it's helped to make white stronger. Remember, when we attach to our opponent's stones, we make them stronger. It's if you imagine, in a kind of medieval battle, when you've got a castle, you're sieging a castle. If you keep bashing at the door, they'll make the door stronger. You attach to a stone, you make it stronger. It's one of the key principles in Go. So if you want to attach to a stone, attach to a strong stone, because you can't make it any stronger. If you attach to a weak stone, you will make it stronger. So then white comes in here. Again, I have to say I don't like this stone very much. I think it's floating. It's not attached to the sides. I'd have liked to have seen, if you're going to break up this area, somewhere in here that's directly attacking the stones on the left and splitting the attack. So now black, this group is still relatively weak, and that stone is weak, and it's attacking both, and the white stones can make a base. If black comes in here again, then white can threaten to do this kind of jump and break up that area rapidly. Sorry about the flow, I keep getting these moves at the bottom. Let's go back to the game. So white plays here, which is it's a bit floating, and black takes the points in the corner. So that white stone is still floating, and it comes down, and black makes a base for the stones on the left. So the 2 white stones, they're out in the middle of the board. They're not attached to the edge. Remember, corners are golden, sides are silver, the belly is straw. So these 2 white stones on O4 and P6 are floating a little bit, and this doesn't really help. In terms of making a base, I'd like to see white do something like this. Come from the left side, and that means that the black stones on the left around FG5 line and the black cornerstones are now separated. They can't get together. If they can't do this, they've got to fix and then fix. There's no way. White keeps black separated. So I'm not a fan of that stone, Ben. And black now makes a base. So the black stones to the left are absolutely secure. They can make two eyes in that shape, and the black stones on the right are secure. So white's three stones are now drifting. They're kind of almost like a rudderless yacht drifting out in the ocean. They haven't got a base. They haven't got any eye shape. Their only choice now is to run. And while running, black is going to harass them and make some territory. So at the moment, I think the game is looking good for black. It does turn later, but at the moment it's looking good for black. So white jumps. And black connects under. Can't knock that. I think that's okay. If it were me, I'd have said actually the black stones are okay. I'm going to either attach here and start the attack. Or if you really want the territory, make this territory here. But let's not quibble over that stone. It's fine. White makes a table shape, but that means black connects all the stones. So the lower side and the lower right side are now all blacks, and there's a lot of points in there. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. There's probably 40, maybe 45 points in there along the lower side and up the edge. So white harness, this is very gentle. It's not harness, knight moves. This is very gentle by white, and black comes down. Not a great move by black. You know, this sequence, if white attaches, black, white, what does black do now? If black cuts, white harness. This starts a much more aggressive kind of fight where white is going to try and break up, because these two are under threat from this move, and break up that side. But this was a gentle game. The guys didn't really kick each other about too much. So white made the knight move, and black, as a minimum, I'd like to see either black extend the base in that corner or knight move here to protect that. But in the event, black here, it's solid, although it does still have a weakness here. This is a white could still attach here or come in here, maybe attach there. There's some weaknesses there, but that's what happened. And then white protects the corner. In the event, I can't knock that. It's a tanuki, but I think there are much, you know, how urgent was that? How likely was black to go in there at that point? I think the move, having played the Q11 stone, this stone, the move that white was looking for was something like this, making the space and really reducing that corner, taking that corner and making that corner live independently. So separating the black moyo on the lower and the lower right side from the upper right corner, and doing that kind of break attack. I think going back to your own corner and adding a stone and protecting the points was just a little bit passive at this point. So black attaches, and white comes back to make a diagonal connection to keep the stones connected. That move I don't like at all. Here's our notorious friend, the empty triangle. Black at this point could push this way. What happens if white comes here? Black goes there. Can white cut? No, that just doesn't work. So not a great move by black here, creating that empty triangle. It would be much better to jump in that way, or even jump a bit further, but that jump would be secure. And now we're starting to see how the upper right corner is connected to the side. So black plays here, white harness, black harness. I would expect white to extend here. Yeah, and again, I'm not a fan of this one, Ben, because you're giving black free stuff. When you make a tiger mouth in that position, black just gets a free move, and I don't know what the move was that was actually played in the game. And then you fix. So if that was your intention, either play this one first, or you push out, and then black will push out, and white pushes out, and black pushes out, and at some point, black will try and harness, but can't. You get to drive this wedge into the corner, because if black jumps now, white pushes, black connects, white pushes, and now what does black do? Because if black plays here, white gets the Atari, and then white gets another Atari, and then white turns and catches the one stone. And that sequence is much, much better. It shatters the upper right corner for white and gives white a real advantage. So I don't like this move at all. This is too passive in this respect. So black takes it. You can kind of go give your opponent free stuff, and you expect your opponent to take the free stuff, and so you connect. And so black then makes a tiger mouth shape. Interestingly, the tiger mouth shape does work here because it works to connect, although this is still better. It's just better. It just makes the connection. It doesn't give white any more moves or cutting points. It's just a better move. So white jumps back. I think this is the right kind of direction. It's not a contact play. It could be somewhere like you could have gone and actually sat on that black stone there, but that's perfectly good. I'm not going to comment on that further. Black Hane's out from the knight move. I'd expect white to block immediately at p4. Yeah, put p14. Sorry, that's fine. Then these are nice moves by black. See how black is harassing white and harassing white's group. And this trouble for white goes all the way back to this original invasion down in this area of the board that created this floating group without eyes that white's having to look after as we go into the middle game. White's looking after stones that actually have no value because they're not making territory, and black is just making points in the upper right, has already made points on the lower side and in the lower right corner. So by harassing a weak group, you get to make lots of points in Sente, and that's it. Don't worry about killing it. Your aim is, don't be greedy. You don't need blood on your hands. You don't need the death. You just need to make points while harassing. Okay, so what happens next? So white again decides that this corner needs shoring up. I'm not sure it does. So white has now played the original move at d16, part of the opening, added a stone at c14, and then added another stone at f17. This is white's corner. This is black is not going to get in there. It's super solid, but there are now 3 moves in that area of the board, and that means black has yet another Sente to approach. If it were me at this point, as black, I would want to play something really big just to break up this area and make sure that territory can't come white, and actually put some pressure towards this group, because this group doesn't have eyes yet. And if white plays in this area to kind of counter-attack, then black attaches here and breaks up the side again, and breaks black's side. That would be me. The black extends. It's okay. It makes some points. It makes another. If you think the difference between this stone, which has got behind it, how many points? 18 points, 3 times 6, and this stone that's now got 20 points. So that's a stone that's added 2 points. I don't think that's big enough for this stage in the game. I think you need to be thinking a bit bigger. If you look at black stones on the board, all of black's groups are alive. All of the black groups are steady. There aren't any weak groups. If there's a weak stone for black, that's the only weak stone that I can see that would be vulnerable to something like white attaching, black Hane, white cut, black, white, black. Black can split the side with that kind of technique, that kind of cross-cut technique. But this move here, the move that you played in the game, just too small. It's just not big enough for where we are. So black does that. So white comes out, which is a great move. This is the you've got to play this because your white group, a black stone there, as we've just demonstrated with my alternate move here, would start to put that white group under pressure. So white comes out. And again, if it was me and black, I'd be desperate, really desperate, to start attacking with something like this. But we'll see what happens in the game. So black comes the other side. No, it's okay. It's aimed. It's the same idea. It's the right idea. Is to put pressure. Clearly, black's not going to get into the upper left-hand corner. It's too solid. Clearly, black has some opportunities in the lower left corner, but where's the balance of territory in this game at the moment? If we do a quick count, the left side, the AB line, 1 to 19 is worth 38, say 40 points, and 50 points to white on the left. White in the centre, maybe this group here is worth about 10 points. So it's 50 to white. Okay, to black. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 21 points here. Into this corner, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. 40 points there. 5 points here, 45. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 60, and another 20, 80. So black's ahead by about 20 points. Black's ahead on the game by about 20 points. And as we say, Richmond don't pick fights. When you're ahead 20 points, don't just solidify your position and you've got the game. It's not much fun, but that's go. Okay, so white defends that position, and black should really keep pushing out and keeping this white group under attack. That's slightly more defensive than I would like to see, but you know, something like this just keeps pushing into white's potential area. But that's what we have. So black plays defensive here. So white starts to get out. Does black now extend at J15? Wedges to create cutting points. So black wedges, white blocks. Okay, so black starts an attack in this. So this is interesting. So black takes that white takes the co, and black makes it a co. And then white starts a double co. If it were black, if it were me now, I would just take that co and set another co, because that means that this stone is still actively pushing into the territory. What happens? Okay, so black connected. Black said, I don't want to fight that co. I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. So black connected and white connected, and they both walked away from the co. A co fight here would have been good for black. Less so, because white's still behind on the board. You know, white's and again, I've got to ask a big question here is going back to this move. Where are we? Here, this move, 54. How important was that for white to play, as opposed to something like this, or let's see, this, to really enlarge, because now this area becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 50 points there now. Suddenly the game becomes even again. These big moves. And so the connect move at L14, this move here, just wasn't worth it. There were bigger moves elsewhere. But that's the one that was played. So now black connected, and white played yet another stone in that corner. I have to just say now, this is a slack move. You've played 3 stones in that area. Even if black invades, you're going to kill him. So I just think that's way over defensive, and particularly over defensive when you're behind on the board. You haven't got enough points on here, Ben, at the moment. Okay, so black pushes into that centre area. I can't knock it. It's a little bit slow. I'd like to see a bigger jump, and actually you've got a beautiful launch platform here to launch into this kind of area. You've got a 2-stone base, and you can jump 2 stones from a 2-stone base, and it's further away from these stones, so it's less likely to get interference from white or help white in building territory. So black comes here, and so white comes out and makes a run for the left hand side with the centre group. Again, right direction, great direction of play, great sense of where that should be, but not quite the right position. And again, what might be the right position here is something like here, because white will do this, and then here, and white will do this, and then here, and probably white will do this again, and then come back. And you've built a wall in Sente, and more importantly, you've squashed white down onto the third line, and so there's only 2 points of stone behind this shape here. Okay. A little bit slow. And white comfortably connects. So white has now comfortably connected the centre group to the left hand side. And I think in terms of points now, this starts to get close. So black aims at that, aims at the cutting point. White's clearly going to block. Black wedges and white blocks. So white's building a wall now, and black's building a wall. So both players are getting territory. Black comes again. White protects on that side, that's okay, and then white connects. The only way in now for black to disrupt this territory is through here. And so the move that would do that for black would be that tiger mouth there, that would start to push into that territory, and that's really quite urgent at that point, because white has gained quite a lot here. You know, from an area of the board that had almost no points in, we're now going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. You know, there's 20, 25 points suddenly appeared in the centre of the board, which to the 50 that white has got on the left hand side now makes about 75 points. Black's still marginally ahead, I think, but it's close. So black plays here rather than pushing there, and white makes a shape move to protect those points. Black threatens. Does white need to answer? White probably doesn't need to answer that one, but does. And black pushes again, and now white takes that stone out. That was great reading, Ben. You have to ask the question at this point, Sam, is the K15 stone important? Is it doing any important work, or is that a more interesting stone? Or is that a more interesting stone? Or is that a more interesting stone? What happens here? White do this. You can make white grovel down to the first line. There are lots more interesting things. I have to say that this stone, you go, is it doing any work? And by work we mean, is it enclosing territory? Number one. Is it separating white groups and keeping white groups apart? No, and so keeping them weak. It's doing neither of those things, so it's actually not doing any useful work. It's not a useful stone. It would have been useful if it was connected either by a tiger mouth at J16 or connected at K16, but it's no longer useful, so let it go. Don't protect stones that you don't need. Black protected, white connected, and now the points on the board are really quite close. If we just go down this again, let's just do a quick count. So from here, from the triangle, we've got a block there that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 21 points. And above here, there's another. That's another 8, so that's 29. So we can say there's probably 35 points there. There's another 10 in this corner, 45. There's 10 here, 55. There's 5 there, 60. And here we've got 1, 2, from there to say there, there, there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 8's 32. 90 points for black on the board. Okay, let's just have a look at white's point. White has got here 1, 2, down to 2. We've got this box. That box is worth 38, 2 19s. So that's 38. Let's call that 40 points. Here there's 5, and here there's 5. So that's 50 points. And now in the center we've got that box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 20. Another 20 points, 70, and here 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 85. I think the game is even. I think the game is even, and the point of making those markings is it's essential in Go, as your game develops, that you find some way of rapidly counting what the score is on the board. If you don't know what the score on the board is, you've got no way of knowing what to do. If you're ahead, hold on to what you've got. If you're behind, then you've got to invade and take some territory, or find some way of creating points for yourself or stealing points off your opponent. If the game's even, you need a rapid way of gaining some points, and then you've got the advantage. And any way that works for you will be great. I do that kind of quick counting in boxes. I create little mental boxes on the board and total up the boxes and find out where the game is. And I think white might be marginally ahead at this point. So black harness, that's not a great move. There's no reason why white can't do this. If black does this, then white simply cuts that stone off behind and say, what are you going to do now? If black plays here, white plays here, and we end up like this. So black's move is an overplay in this situation, but white gets away and kind of cowers, and then black connects. Actually, black, you should push here, then white does that, you do this, and you've taken extra points off. So that's not it's not great play by either of the guys. Black backs off. Nice move by white. This is actually the move that consolidates white's points. You give up on the top, you think there's nothing worth going for. This is the final invasion point where black could get into white's territory. Black could have wedged in there, as we've seen by some of the other sequences that we've looked at, and that's great. So black blocks and white jumps, and black connects and white connects. Black, white. We're into the end game now. We're into end game moves. The mid game fighting is settled, and for me, I think the score is marginally white. White is ahead because of that big centre, that huge centre that white was able to grasp. Black descends. Where's the biggest point on the board now for white? It's probably at F2. White makes this shape. This ends badly for white, which actually starts to tilt the game in black's favour. That's good, but I prefer this, because this, it's big. It's bigger. It's just the corner is now bigger. This is solid. It's okay. Black descends. Black gets more points out of that. White turns. Black pushes. White Atari. Black descends. Yeah, there's that leaves a weakness for white in the corner that we'll return to. There's a weakness now in black clamping at D2. This clamp here. Just look at that sequence. So if black were to clamp here, white can't descend because the black stone's now got 3 liberties and white's got 2. So if black clamps, white has to go here, black, and so this is and then white has got a fix. So this becomes a cente reduction for black. It reduces that corner. So these are little endgame sequences that we learn to identify. But white's move is a cente, black will block there, and black indeed does. White pushes, black pushes, white connects, black pushes. Here white simply needs to make a bamboo joint. White now simply needs to play here, but Ben sadly misread this sequence and it threw the game back into black's hands. So white blocks, black wedges in again, white connects, and then black wedges in again, and notice that white cannot connect. If white now connects and blocks at O5, this point becomes self-Atari, which is what happens in the game. So it's just reading. It's just reading, because at this point white just needed to do that. And then it was all done. The white stones were alive, and those white stones eliminate points from black. But white sadly misread that, played there, and so black killed. Now let's just add that up. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stones. 8 stones is worth 18 points. So this is a 20-point move. So this clearly shifts the game away from white to black. It's a 20-point kill. So in the game, black killed there. That's 20 points in the bank. The lower left and lower right side is now enormous. Just each of those stones I counted twice, because you get a prisoner and you get the point that the prisoner was on. So when you play the prisoners back, you reduce your opponent by the number of prisoners, but you gain the number of points. So each prisoner in a kill like that is worth double, and that's what suddenly flipped the game from white to black. So now we're into the final moves. White blocks, black presses, white blocks. Black harness, white blocks, black blocks, white blocks. Black harness. We've just been through this sequence. We looked at it earlier, and actually even now there's another outcome. What happens here is black blocks and white protects. Let's just look at that sequence again. What happens if at this point black refuses that and black does the double Atari? White's got to take, but if white takes, black does this, and then white connects and black Ataris, and it's horrible for white. That's the sequence that we're looking at, and these are what we call endgame moves, Yosei moves. So the sequence black hane, white, because of this setup, because of the presence of this stone wedged in there, there's an alternate sequence that's much, much better for black. But black in this case connected, so white protected, black sente. Black dived in aiming at that cutting point, and this actually ended up as a, I mean, this shouldn't have worked, but it did. So white blocks. So black makes a shape. White really needs to turn now at c4. I'm not sure the jump is good enough. c4 would have killed it. So black looks to make one eye. White stops the eye. There's still only one eye in there, but white urgently now needs to play c4. That's still only one eye in there. Still c4 will work. White plays here, but then black pushes out and gets the Atari on the D group. So the group on the right hand side of that is now an Atari, so white must connect there, and now it's all gone horribly wrong. Black pushes out. Black actually didn't need to push it, because actually now white had a way out here. White really did have a way out. With black push out, if white had played here, this is just misreading, then black's in Atari, and there's nothing black can do. The cut here is a waste of time, because black dies. So actually black didn't need to push out, black needed to play this one, and now black's alive with two eyes. So there were mistakes by both players here. This was a mistake allowing this to happen and not playing c5 earlier. Black pushing out meant that white should have killed by playing here, which would have killed the black group. They can't push here because of this. But white came down here, which meant black pushed, and black lives. And if the death of the group over on the right hand side didn't seal the game for black, that's completely sealed the game for black. White's clearly annoyed with himself at this point and says, right, I'm coming into your corner. It's a brave move, but black blocks. White extends, black blocks, white harness, black harness, white tries to make an eye, black takes the eye away, nice play, and now black should play S16 to ensure that white only has one eye. That's it, perfect. White blocks, black connects, white descends, but there is only one eye because T17 is false. White threatens an Atari, it's a co-threat, so black connects. and both players pass. So that was the game. That was a black victory. I'm not quite sure what the final score is on that one. I think it was 20 or so, but it came down to some mistakes in dealing with this invasion by white and misreading this. Before those two events, the game was close. It was within Comey. It was within 5 points. White had actually fought back in the centre because black had made some very slow moves. With the slow moves around here, meant that white was able to build what was actually nothing in the middle. It was no more than 5 or 10 points into a huge area that, again, if we score this out, if we go from here to here and look at that box, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 18, that's 20 points there. And then we look at this box, that one there is another 20 points, that's 40, and 5 here and 5, there's 50 points in the centre there. Despite losing this lower left hand corner, that was huge. And so black outfought white, black outread white in the this area here around the blue where the blue mark is, and actually that shouldn't have happened. White should have held onto those points, and despite white missed the opportunity just to kill this, and actually killing, despite the loss here, killing here would have maybe held the game together within Comey. Anyway guys, that was a good fight. I've enjoyed doing the review. I hope there's some stuff for both of you to learn. What are the summary points for me? I think the summary points just about looking at not protecting stones that are not doing any work, asking yourself a question, is this stone doing any work? Is it either separating my opponent's groups or is it making territory? If it is, then protect it. If it's not, let it go. Go is a game of exchange. We have to give things up in order to get bigger things. We can't have everything. We have to use stones creatively. Sometimes those stones involve sacrifices, and just slightly deeper reading on the invasions and the Ataris, because it was a self. This one here came down to a self Atari by Ben, and you guys now you'll rapidly move from beginners. You're about to hit your teens in terms of Q, and those kind of self-Ataris need to start to be eliminated from your game. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you guys have enjoyed the review. I hope people watching this have enjoyed this review. These are two double-digit Q players who've been playing Go for maybe 3 or 4 months now, so I think it was a great game. If you like the way I teach and explain, then please give this video a like. And if you like what you see on the channel, please subscribe. There will be lots more to come. Okay, thanks for now and see you guys soon. Bye for now.